Hi, my name is James White. I'm also known on the internet as Preacher James, and this is the Politics and Religion Show, or also known as the P&R Show. This is episode number 4. Earlier today, I had a unique chance to go to a conference that was held in Edmond, Oklahoma, which is just north of Oklahoma City. It's the Biblical Sexuality Conference. Dr. Denny Burk teaches undergraduate classes at Southern Baptist Theological seminary. I have to admit, on a positive note, that Dr. Burk did make an effort to try to be more loving and kind and compassionate towards people who are in same-gender relationships. Problem is the way he set it up. See, he starts off the conference by talking about Ariel Castro, of all people. And you're thinking, why? Why would he do that? So he's taking one of the most sick and twisted individuals in the world. And what he's saying is, when Castro finally spoke in front of the courtroom, Castro made excuses. Castro tried to justify his behavior. And so the whole theme throughout the night was that people who sin try to rationalize their behavior and therefore can justify it in their mind. So, and then, of course, I never quite understand why some people think there's this one culture in America. Sorry, Dr. Burke, there are many cultures in America. So if you try to say the culture is trying to say that God is going to get with our program, well, guess what? There's more than one culture in America. We are at least we try to be a melting pot. But quite frankly, we're not. It is much different to live in Maine or Massachusetts than it is to live in Florida as compared to Texas or compared to California. We have a lot of different cultures in America, so I don't know what the deal is there. He said some good things about Christian freedom having limits, and he wasn't just aiming towards people who are lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender. He was talking across the board. And I would actually agree with that. Being a Christian does not mean you have a license to do whatever you want. We are given gifts, talents, and abilities so that we can be a blessing to other people. So, but the second session is I only went to the first two. I'm not planning on going to the ones tomorrow. He starts off with the story of Billy Lucas and how this kid was bullied and eventually pushed to the point where he hung himself in his barn, that he lived on a farm. And of course, he talks about there's the two options. We can be completely intolerant and hate the people and hate the lifestyle, or we can be completely tolerant and somehow compromise your faith, which I'm going to prove that's not what I'm doing. In his mind, the biblical option, and I use that term loosely with him, is that you speak the truth in love, you present the gospel. But he used the 3 passages from the New Testament that dealt with homosexuality. And then, of course, he goes to Romans 1, but he only mentions verse 26 and 27. Well, why is that? Why not go all the way back to verse 18? Because if you do that, then you actually have to explain the context of the passage. See, these aren't men seeking to be in lifelong committed relationships. People in Romans chapter 1, from verse 18 to verse 32, these are people that they're idolatry. They're committing idolatry. They're idolatrous. They go to pagan temples. That's what was going on in the first century. Let me start with verse 18. For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and wickedness of those who by their wickedness suppress the truth. So what are they suppressing? That there's one God. For what can be known, verse 19, for what can be known about God is plain to them because God has shown it to them. That's what we call general revelation. It's what you learn about God by looking at nature. Verse 20, ever since the creation of the world, his eternal power and divine nature, invisible though they are, have been understood and seen through the things he has made, general revelation again, so they are without excuse. For though they knew God, they did not honor him as God or give thanks to him, but became futile in their thinking, and their senseless minds were darkened. Claiming to be wise, they became fools. Here's the key, verse 23. And they exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images resembling a mortal human being or birds or four-footed animals or reptiles. That's idolatry. If you keep going, yes, verse 26 talks about men sleeping with men and women sleeping with women. But these are people that are going to the temple, especially the fertility cults of the first century. They would literally go to the temple, pay the money, have sex with them, with the temple prostitutes. This passage is not at all talking about two people who are committed to one another. Now, I can get the other two in one stone, 1 Corinthians 6 and 1 Timothy 1, because it mentions here. I've got the New Revised Standard in front of me, so let's see. 1 Corinthians 1. I don't know why I flipped that far. Forgive me. 1 Corinthians 1. Oh, 6. Sorry. Okay, it gives a list of things that are bad. Here it actually says male prostitutes and sodomites. On other translations it says homosexual. But the Greek word is arsenokoites, which most Greek experts will tell you Paul invented this word. He took two words, man and bed, and put them together and made one word. But it's interesting. Both in 1 Corinthians 6, 1 Timothy 1, this word and this word are together. Arsenokoites, meaning man and bed, which was most versions say homosexual, and then malakos, which here is translated as sodomite. But the word actually means soft. I am of the opinion that both 1 Corinthians 6 and 1 Timothy 1 deal with pedophilia. Now, how do I know this? Well, you have to understand the context. You have to understand the culture. Found this on a webpage. It's OLAVODECARVALHO. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but it's that.org. He's got an article here about pedophilia in the first century. And he says this, in Greece and in the Roman Empire, the use of minors for the sexual satisfaction of adults was a tolerated and even a prized custom. I am just blown away. I mean, none of these examples that this guy gave, Dr. Burk, none of these examples have anything to do with two people, whether it's two men or two women, in loving, committed relationships. None of it does. And here's the bottom line. Here's the absolute bottom line. It just blows my mind that they don't see this. If you're looking and trying to discern, is this person a Christian? Is this person not a Christian? Well, let's see here. What does the Bible say? Go reap what you sow. Of course, that's a good idea. Thing. My gosh. apologize again. I'm trying to do something off the cuff here. Looking for the fruits of the Spirit, which, let's see. Yeah, here we are. Galatians 5. My bad. Fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, generosity, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. I see this in, I've known people who are gay or lesbian from Texas, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Kansas, all over the country. People who profess to love God, followers of Christ, and this is how they are. So, the truth is, people are just straight out resistant to change. They don't like change. They feel that if somebody is different than they are, then that's somehow bad. But the truth is, I have met lots of people who are committed, loving relationships, 2 men, 2 women. A couple of years ago, I even met somebody who had been together for over 50 years. So, and the dirty little secret is, if you really want to look at the problem of marriage in this country, a lot of it's because of selfishness. And selfishness has nothing to do with 2 gay men or 2 women wanting to get married. It's about looking out for the needs of your spouse. So, for more information about me, you can go to preacherjames.com. Please send me an email if you have any ideas. preacherjames34@gmail.com. Have a great weekend. Take care, and God bless.